back in the old school. Hey guys, I'm the Retro Reject, and of course you can tell from my little Santa hat, you know what time of year it is.
Oh, have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow. Well, I mean, technically it's Florida, so no, there wouldn't be snow. But have a cup of cheer.
Yeah, that's right, guys. It's Christmas time, but of course, unfortunately, my whole crew couldn't be with us for this holiday season.
Yeah, Nala's spending Christmas with her family within the Pride Lands. Yeah, and Hashima is... well... okay, well, we don't know what he's doing in the future, but, I guess he's having a good Christmas, too. Yeah. I wonder what he is up to now.
Okay, is it too late to say that we're screwed?
Yeah, it's far too late for that, Asuna. Starscream, what's our status?
Not too good, Hashima. I'm able to take down the board very easily with my no ray. But they just keep on coming, and the Xenomorphs just make it that much harder to hit them.
Imagine that. Instead of hanging out with our families this holiday season, we're being forced to cower by a bunch of villains from the Star Trek franchise and the Alien franchise.
Yes, that just sounds like a good spin-off series to me. Why hasn't that been made yet?
The time will come eventually, Starscream. But for right now, we have to make it past the first wave of enemies, right, to get to the main reactor. And once we destroy that, all the board will shut down, leaving all the aliens to be easy pickings. And even if we die, we're gonna die hard.
You're right, Hashima. Come on, guys, let's do this.
But that doesn't have to stop us from having fun. Because around this time of year, it gives me the chance to have my favorite kind of dairy treat. Chocolate ice cream with cookie dough.
Hey, give us some of that chocolate ice cream! Come on, Retro Reject, give me that ice cream!
Hey, Mechagodzilla, away!
Guys!
Come on, don't be a Grinch, give us some of that!
Oh, will you guys back off? Besides, I'm not going to give you guys any more ice cream, especially what happened after last year.
Wait, what exactly happened last year? Yeah, everything was kind of a blur. What happened?
Don't you guys remember that last year I gave you guys this kind of ice cream? You nearly sold the imagination box to our enemies, the Psycho Rejects. 805? Well, we all know what 805 means.
Free ice cream!
No, yes, hilarious. No!
What, you're gonna finally admit your true feelings about Nala?
Okay, you two I'm ignoring. No, it's time that we watch a Christmas special, and I think I know what one we should watch. A very good old classic known as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows.
Wait a minute. That doesn't look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Did I choose the wrong channel? Oh, wait a minute. I think I see what's going on here. Little did you guys probably know that in 2001, there was a sequel based off the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer called Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys. But it's so weird to think that there is a sequel based on the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, keeping in line with all the characters in the story that was set up previous to this, but barely anybody I know watches it or talks about it during the holiday season. For Pete's sake, this is based on one of the biggest icons of Christmas. He's so iconic that he has his own song after him. But to share in the Christmas spirit, I thought it would be nice to let you guys be a sole witness as I am and watch this Christmas special with me, right, and find out why this is exactly one of the more obscure holiday specials out there. So without any further ado, ho ho ho, and away we go! So the movie begins with our main villain of the story, known as the Toy Taker, maker stealing toys from children around the holiday season by playing a magical tune on his flute. But there's something going on here in terms of the quality that automatically tips you off that this does not feel like a sequel to the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special. So I'll let you guys take a minute to guess what exactly I'm talking about here. Okay, there is no stop motion animation. And okay, look, I understand that CGI was probably the cheaper thing to do at the time, considering that stop motion animation takes a lot of time and money, like, to do it. But if you want to capture the feel of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which the original Christmas special was done entirely in stop motion, you gotta keep that formula, or else it just doesn't feel like Rudolph. We're then introduced to our main narrator of the story, right, a talking snowman, who is not Frosty or Burl Ives, it's actually Richard Dreyfuss, or as better known as Mr. Hooper from Jaws.
Oop, almost forgot to introduce myself. Name's Scoop T. Snowman, ace reporter for the Christmastown Chronicle, the North Pole's best-selling newspaper. North Pole's only newspaper.
Okay, like, seriously, how do you go from this expert shark researcher who's trying to hunt after a man-eating shark with a police chief and a very crazed shark hunter to a talking snowman reporter? But I mean, hey, at least he somewhat has that same very hilarious laugh from Jaws.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donna and Blitzen.
Okay, this has nothing to do with the movie, but how did Santa's reindeer get their names? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song was the first time we ever heard them by name. And in the song, they're just assuming we know who they are. Wow, forget putting the ornaments and other decorations on the tree. The opening credits are so shiny you might as well put those on the tree. And speaking of the opening credits, these are just so bland. Like, they're not even clever in any way. Like, unlike the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where you could be totally immature and cover the B in Rankin Bass's name.
Rudolph, will you do the honors?
My pleasure, Santa.
Well, I guess we're not having Christmas this year, considering that Rudolph just nuked the entire North Pole. I mean, come on, he's the one who's supposed to be saving Christmas. So this Christmas party seems to be getting into full swing, even so much so that Rudolph is eyeing up his GF Clarice. And I just love how Hermie walks over and is just basically like, yeah, go get her, buddy.
Here in the night, just you and me, in all of the world.
So obviously we get this little romance song going on between Rudolph and Clarice. But I just feel like it's a rip-off of Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and without Nala's bedroom eyes. I mean, Clarice, you ain't got nothing on Nala. But there's just another thing that comes to mind when I think of this song, and it's just like, what does this have to do with Christmas? Meanwhile, this kite from the Island of Misfit Toys is looking for Hermie because King Moonracer has a toothache and they need a dentist. And apparently Hermie is the only dentist within the North Pole, but he's not in his little dentist shack. But luckily, Mr. Hooper Snowman points him in the right direction.
The dentist is out! How tragic.
Try the Christmas Town snowball. First castle on your left. Matter of fact, only castle on your left.
Okay, look, Mr. Hooper Snowman. It was cute when Burl Ives did it for the first time, and then it was okay when you did it, but now you're just padding out the joke.
So, how about a flying lesson tomorrow, Clarice?
Really? I mean, you're not too busy being so famous and all.
Well, you want to earn your wings, don't you?
What are you talking about, Rudolph? Reindeer don't get wings. Stupid. So eventually the kite finds Hermie, right, and they decide to set off to the Island of Misfit Toys, and Rudolph decides to come along, because since they are best friends. And along the way, we learn that Rudolph is starting to feel very tired of being considered a famous reindeer, which I think is a really good concept. He was shunned throughout the majority of the first Christmas special, and only during the end was when people started accepting him. And now he's getting just so much unwanted attention that maybe he's starting to consider that maybe it's for the better that he still wishes that he had a normal nose. But of course, Hermie, being the good friend that he is, decides to sing their old classic song together.
Keep your chin up, keep your shoulders back, and face the world with pride. So what if you're a little bit different? You're still bona fide. Stick your nose out, hold your antlers high, enjoy the world you see. So what if you're a little bit funny? Hey, you still got me.
Wait a minute. This is not We're a Couple of Misfits. Or at least the song I grew up on was Fame and Fortune. But you decided to go with an entirely new song, despite the original one being one of the most iconic songs associated with Rudolph. Well, I mean, the song is catchy enough as is. I mean, it's a definite improvement compared to the previous song we just heard being a pointless romance song. But it was just a really wasted opportunity to not put in We're a Couple of Misfits in this scene. And I think the song sums it up best of what I think about it.
Spoony, Toony, Loony, we're just fine.
Eventually, both Rudolph and Hermie and the kite make it to the Island of Misfit Toys, and we get another song, which is a serious downgrade compared to the original one.
When a mouse goes meow and a cat goes woof and a kite is afraid to fly above the roof, don't be frightened by all the noise on the Island of Misfit Toys. Oh, the Island of Misfit Toys.
And, okay, this is another thing that I thought was pretty weird to me with the original Rudolph Christmas special. How are most of these toys considered misfits? Because most of these toys still have some use.
And I'm Peggy, the piggy bank. Only thing is, they forgot to give me a slot.
I mean, if you have a little plug on the bottom, you can still put change in it. And if not, it could just be one of those little ceramic pigs that old grandmothers collect and put on shelves.
Hello? 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 Oh, nobody.
It's a toy phone! What, do you really expect it to be getting actual phone calls and messages? I would be extremely worried if my child's toy phone could actually receive phone calls and text messages. It would be literally a Twilight Zone episode if that happened.
You think you've got problems, mate? I'm the boomerang that doesn't come back.
Well, he's dead. And for Pete's sake, any child who throws a boomerang, I'm pretty sure it's not going to come back to them. Oh, and how much do you want to bet that boomerang is going to become an essential part to the movie later on? Even with the original Island of Misfit toys, I don't understand how most of them could be misfits. For Pete's sake, the polka-dotted elephant, and I'm pretty sure that any kid would be happy to get a stuffed elephant no matter what pattern it was in. The Charlie in the box, I'm pretty sure any kid would still call it a Jack-in-the-Box. What, is he gonna go full-on Woody and come alive when he's not supposed to and correct the child if they're wrong? And be like, no, I'm Charlie! And then the water pistol that shoots jelly, are you sure that you just didn't put jelly into the little canister that the water is supposed to actually go in? The bird who doesn't fly but swims, that's literally a penguin. And also, not to mention, at the end of the original special, that elf just threw the bird off the sleigh without giving an umbrella, so I'm pretty sure he would technically be dead. And then the cowboy who rides an ostrich, this is actually a really funny story. When I was a kid, there was a website called Candy Stand, and that's a website you could go to play like little mini games. And one of them was where you played as a police officer riding around on an ostrich, which was apparently some kind of ad for gum. And then the biggest one I do not understand is, what is wrong with the doll? But anyway, King Moonracer returns, and Hermie gets to work on his little dental practice. And we learn that the king needs a root canal, but apparently we just skipped that scene. But come on, we could have missed out on a funny root canal scene. It could have been just like freaking Finding Nemo. Meanwhile, back at the North Pole, Santa Claus wants to take some extra precautions with the toy taker out on the loose stealing toys. So they make sure to lock up the warehouse in which they keep all of the children's presents for Christmas by guarding it with 2 toys. And of course, the toy taker takes all of them. I mean, what sense does that make by having 2 toys guard the toys? Or it's like if you put 2 cheeseburgers in front of a chicken sandwich, you know you're eventually going to eat all of them. But meanwhile, on the way back, both Hermie and Rudolph talk about how Rudolph has not confessed to Clarice that he loves her, which I think somewhat retcons the original ending of the story, because I'm pretty sure Rudolph let her know that he liked her. Even Hermie admits to his own love troubles by telling him that he has a crush on the actual Tooth Fairy.
Congratulations, Hermie!
But despite that, they then get caught in the middle of a storm, which causes Hermie's Toothmobile to capsize.
Hermie?
Wow, Titanosaurus, I didn't know you were in this movie.
I mean, hey, times were rough during the early 2000s. I was pretty much accepting any role that was given to me.
So our 2 heroes get stranded on an island known as Castaway Cove, and some guards lead them to the queen of this island, who is known as Queen Camilla, who is played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, how do you go from legendary final girl within the movie Halloween to a hippo queen on an island?
Welcome to my fabulous castle, darlings. When toys get old or broken and would otherwise be cast away, Queen Camilla brings them to Castaway Cove for rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation.
Hey boys, bring me your dollies. Hey boys, bring them to me. Hey boys, it'll be jolly. I can fix them with my TLC. Hey boys, bring me your patients. Dr. C is in the house. I got the cure for what ails you. Be you mouse or be you mouse?
Man, I thought I didn't like the sexual innuendos in Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So, after that pain of a musical number, Queen Camilla then offers Rudolph a chance to change his shiny nose into a normal nose, and Hermie have a chance to date the Tooth Fairy. And Hermie tries to talk Rudolph out of it, but Rudolph is set on it. And I just kind of love how Queen Camilla fires back at one of Hermie's ways to talk him out of it.
But what if it's another foggy Christmas Eve?
Santa can't afford headlights, darling?
I mean, she's not wrong.
What if Clarice doesn't like the new nose?
Maybe I need some time to think it over.
Take all the time you want, Sugar Plum.
Well, let's actually hope you keep your promise this time, instead of just building it up for eventually nothing to happen. Haven't seemed to work out for you really well in Halloween Kills. Actually, as a little side note, I don't understand why people don't like that movie. I personally enjoyed it. So eventually both Hermie and Rudolph make it back to the North Pole, and Rudolph goes on his date with Clarice. Eventually this leads them to a conversation where Rudolph tells Clarice that he's planning on getting a new nose, so then that he could be normal like everybody else. But despite me saying that I like the plot point of Rudolph thinking he's getting too much attention and doesn't want to be famous and be just like everybody else, in this special, it doesn't add up to anything, especially with this conversation, because you know how it's going to go down. Clarice has always liked Rudolph with his shiny nose, so in this scene she obviously tells them that she doesn't care if he's normal like everybody else. She loves his shiny nose. And eventually Rudolph confesses to Clarice that he loves her.
Really? He loves me! He loves me! Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer loves me!
Clarice! You're flying!
Eventually both Rudolph and Clarice are called back to Santa's workshop because they need to find out what to do now since all the toys were stolen by the toy taker from Santa's warehouse.
He took every single toy we made.
And even the toys guarding the toys!
So we'll make new toys?
We can't make up for a year's work in 3 days! There's just not enough time!
But wait a minute. That doesn't really make any sense, considering that I'm pretty sure most children send their Christmas list to Santa, like, at least around late November or early December. So, like, how could Santa Claus know what toys these children want very early on in the year? I'm pretty sure, or you still have enough time to make a lot of toys in that time span. Maybe not all of them, but I'm pretty sure you could make most of them. Or unless children are making their Christmas list way earlier than I think they do. Which is most likely possible considering how early people put up Christmas decorations nowadays.
Papa, why don't we look for clues? To the scene of the crime!
As they're investigating the warehouse, they find a clue which indicates that our main villain might be some kind of toy, because they find a piece of stuffing that came from a specific era of time. But they still don't know what to do about trying to deal with this toy taker, so Rudolph comes up with a brilliant plan.
Well, what if we catch the toy taker and get the toys back by Christmas?
So they're going to need all the help they can get to catch the toy taker. So they decide to call upon some characters that we've not seen until the beginning of this movie, which, of course, are the iconic duo of Yukon Cornelius and Bumble.
Out of business? What happened?
There's not a peck of pepper or morsel of mint left in that tinky old peppermint mine. Me and Bumble mind it clean.
How about helping us catch the toy taker?
There won't be any toys for Christmas unless we find him.
Well, what are we waiting for? Wahoo!
Meanwhile, at the toy taker's hideout, we learn a little bit more about him and why he's taking toys, trying to justify himself as a sympathetic villain by singing a song.
'Cause they might flatter you on Christmas Day, but sooner or later they will grow away, and they'll leave you behind when they go out to play. No, they won't take you, they won't take you. But I am a wonderful guy. I'd never treat a toy the way those children do, and though you may not want to go, the toy taker, that's me, will take care of you. And you, and you, and you.
But of course, since Christmas needs to be saved, Rudolph, Clarice, Bumble, Yukon, and Hermie's plan is that they disguise themselves as toys, in which they go to the island of Misfit toys, so that when the toy taker comes along to steal all of them, they can figure out where the toy taker takes his toys. But sadly, Bumble has to get left behind, considering that he's just too big to fit on the toy taker's blimp. So he decides to follow them along by riding on top of an iceberg. Meanwhile, back in the blimp, there's a climactic battle going down, where Yukon is trying to catch the toy taker, but since he has spiky cleats, anything's possible. So they're on top of the blimp, which starts cutting holes into it because of his cleats. But then he falls off. But luckily, Bumble is there to catch him before he falls to his tragic death. But in the meantime, Rudolph and Clarice are able to at least distract the toy taker for a while because of Rudolph's shiny nose blinding him, and which is, of course, justifying of why Rudolph should keep his shiny nose. The blimp eventually goes down near the North Pole, and with the toy taker's final desperate attempt to escape, it leads to a minecart chase.
You like roller coasters?
Love 'em.
I mean, seriously, I'm just expecting Donkey Kong or Indiana Jones to show up any time now. So eventually our heroes are able to catch up to the toy taker, and they reveal him to be a teddy bear who goes by the name Mr. Cuddles. And he just explains the whole reason of why he became this way. He was once loved dearly by a child, but then eventually as he grew up, he kind of forgot about him in place of video games, until eventually his parents just gave him away, right, without him knowing. Yeah, you're just basically putting Jesse's backstory on top of Lotso. But keep this in mind, this movie came out a couple years after Toy Story 2, but many years before Toy Story 3. So, this movie is being extremely cliche, but very original at the same time. Then Santa reveals that his owner is still looking for Mr. Cuddles. I'm sorry, I cannot get past that villain name now. Or can we keep his name to the Toy Taker? But anyway, Santa still reveals that his owner's looking for him and he misses him very much. So they take Mr. Cuddles back to Queen Camilla so then that she could fix him up. And so Mr. Cuddles and his owner can be reunited once again.
Feeling better, darling?
Much.
And what about you, Caribou? Still want that nose job?
Well, I'll just stick with the nose I have. I don't always like it, but, well, I guess we kind of, sort of, go together.
Hey, and as we're closing off things, Herbie actually finally gets to have a date with the Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy.
Yoo-hoo! Hermie the Elf, DDS.
Why, I'm Hermie the Elf, DDS.
Ready for our date, sugar?
Whoa, wait a minute. What did he say? Could you say that again? Just please, one more time.
Herbie predicted a meme! Herbie predicted a meme!
Herbie predicted a meme!
Herbie predicted a meme!
And to close out this movie, for the first time, other than the Rudolph song at the beginning, we finally get a Christmas-related song.
When everybody comes together round the big old tree, we'll hang the tinsel, string the lights, and laugh so merrily. It's gonna be the best Christmas ever. It's gonna be the superest Christmas ever. It's gonna be the happiest Christmas ever. Will there be one like today?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say it's the best Christmas ever, but okay, I'll admit you definitely tried. I mean, it definitely is a very obscure Christmas special, but it's very debatable to say if I would consider it an okay Christmas special or a pretty bad one. I think it's kind of just within the same case as Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I think it's really just leaning on that you know these characters and you just enjoy seeing them on screen again. But unlike Thomas and the Magic Railroad, at least the story is more consistent and it is very interesting. But it doesn't capture the feel of it. I mean, most of the songs in this movie are not even Christmas related other than the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song at the beginning of the movie and then the one at the end, which was just pretty bland, and all the other songs in this movie are pretty forgettable. I mean, I can give credit to the CGI for at least capturing the look of all the original characters, but it is pretty dated now. It just would have been better if they did go with stop motion animation, because that's what it was based off of. And also, most of the characters don't sound like what they did from the original one, considering that most of them have probably passed away at this point. But whether it's bad or good, it better be good for you, for goodness sake. Because there are definitely a lot of flaws within this Christmas special. But if it is a tradition for you to watch this as during the Christmas season, I don't blame you. There are some positives. It's pretty okay for me, considering that this is just a continuation of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story. But in most cases, even though as much as I would like to embrace the new sometimes, there are just some cases where you just have to cut your losses and go back with the original, because I do believe the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is much better than this one.
See, every year I do this. I always buy a new ornament so then I could put it on my tree. And I know it may sound silly, but that's the thing. Everybody has their own traditions. So whether it be buying a new ornament every year so you can put it on your Christmas tree, or you're watching some kind of cheesy holiday special like the one I just showed here, or eating fruitcake, because I know some people do that. The thing is, this holiday season is always the time that we feel the happiness in the world, and I think we should carry that throughout the whole year. So I guess there's nothing else better to say than, guys.
You guys ate all my chocolate cookie dough!
Ouch. Oh well, Merry Christmas, everyone.